Good night, folks. Good night to all of our listeners. I am back this week with another wonderful episode of Fitness Focus with Hybrid Magazine. And tonight we have a very special guest, elite IFBB professional and women's fitness specialist, Fiona Branker. Fiona,
Hello.
how you, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I am good. How are you, Mark?
I'm pretty good myself. I
Nice.
must say it's an absolute honor to have you on
Is it?
because, yeah, it is. When I say a thing, I don't know why people always question me.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Um, so I've known you for, I wouldn't even say that long, a couple of years, 1 or 2 years, something like that.
If yeah, maybe about that. Yeah.
But in that time, I think that I consider you one of my closer friends, interestingly
Oh,
enough.
Mark, thank you.
And you are actually also a little bit of an inspiration and all that stuff because I see the hard work you put in and I truly admire that. So,
Thank you.
once again, I'd like to welcome you to our show. And I actually want to get right into the meat of the matter,
Let's
muscles,
do
meat,
it.
get it?
Oh, that's very clever, Mark. It's great. It's really good.
So, first of all, IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilding, but there's a little bit more to it than bodybuilding, right? Your category is not exactly bodybuilding. What category is it, and what's the difference?
Okay, so my category is actually the Women's Physique Division, or
Hmm.
WPD as it's called. What happened was a few years ago, there came a separation between women's bodybuilding. So as we are very familiar with female bodybuilders, women's bodybuilding, they are the largest of the female bodybuilders. However, in an effort to include everyone, including those of us that carry more muscle than average, but not so much that we are female bodybuilders, they came up with another category, and that category is women's physique. Now, what most people don't know is that within the sphere of female bodybuilding, there are at least seven categories. There's women's bodybuilding, women's physique, which is what I do, women's figure or body fitness, which is again a step down from women's physique.
Hmm.
There is fitness bikini. There's a new category called wellness, wellness physique, or at least wellness.
Right.
So I guess it's five divisions. Seems like more, but yes, there are those five divisions with under the umbrella of women's bodybuilding.
Well, that actually sounds like quite a lot, and I'm guessing that every one of them requires different sizes, different amount of definition, etc., etc. Right?
Correct. That's correct. They also we carry different amounts of muscles. It's different requirements as well. The swimwear is different
Mm-hmm.
for instance, the wellness and bikini swimwear, swimsuits, the posing suits are different from what women's physique, women's bodybuilding, women's figure, and women's yeah, they're different as well. So it's not just
Mm-hmm.
the amount of muscle, but how lean the competitors come in, how
Right.
muscular the competitors come in, and as well as the posing style is different.
Okay. Okay. There is one, just a side note, there's one where it's almost like a dance. And I see this both in men and women where you dance into a pose and you dance into another pose as opposed to just pose. Which category would that be? Or
Dance. Well,
yeah, it's almost
in
like that.
my
It's not exactly a dance, but ev- moving from pose to pose is almost rhythmic and
right,
graceful, and
that
then
is
boom, pose. Yeah.
that well, each in all fairness, in all honesty, each division, especially within recent times, they're trying to increase and include that level of grace in between the mandatory poses. So even as a female bodybuilder, you're now expected to move with a certain level of grace before you
Right.
strike your pose. But the wellness and bikini categories are the most fluid flouncy. I don't want to use flouncy. They're the most they're the ones that are expected to do the most rhythmic movements
Right.
within their turns.
All right. So, big question here. How exactly did you get into this sport? I mean, there's a fear of women with muscles. Some women don't want to get too big, and men always have, their negative things to say about muscular women. But how did you decide that this is what I want to do?
Well, first of all, I was raised in a very fit and active family. And I
Hmm.
tell everyone, my both parents were very active. My dad is still involved very heavily in martial arts. I grew up seeing my mom working out, the Jane Fonda, and all these. I grew up seeing very active parents. So I was always drawn to the lifestyle. I remember my mom having muscle and fitness magazines lying
Right.
around, and this is what I read as a teenager. I was a very avid reader. When I started getting involved, I started as a trainer at one of the gyms here in Port of Spain, and I saw a woman. Her name was Candace John,
Right.
and I was just amazed by her physique. She was muscular without being too muscular. She was graceful, but she was very commanding, and I
Hmm.
loved her physique. And when I found out who she was, they told me that, well, she's a bodybuilder, but she does body fitness, which is internationally it's known as women's figure. In the Caribbean and Europe we call it body fitness. And
Okay.
I was like, okay, I need to do this, because at the time there was women's bodybuilding as far as I knew, and that was it, right? And so I started to research, and then I just, because I love exercise so much and I love lifting, and I have always genetically fallen on the side of being physically different from the
Right.
average female, even as a child, because I grew up in a very female dominant home. I have three sisters. And my mom was a very strong, very striking woman. So I grew up in a very female dominant home.
Hmm.
So we always handle our business. If it had water to tote, we tote in water. It
Right.
had bricks to move, we move in bricks. There was no gender, well, girls are supposed to do this and boys are supposed to do, there was nothing like that. So physically, I always had more muscle than the average child and the average female. So when I started lifting weights, my body responded, and I just loved it. And yes, I had to also deal with the negativity that comes with being a muscular woman. But
Hmm.
after a little while, you learn to appreciate it. It takes a lot of hard work. Most women think that if they lift a pair of 10-pound dumbbells in 2 months, they're going to look muscular. That does not happen. It takes years of dedication and scientific study to achieve a certain level of physique. And I am very, very, very proud of the physique that I've built over the last 17 years, Mark. I've been lifting for 17 years. And I'll tell you something, 2021 was the first year that I was out of the gym for 6 months. First year in all that 17 years.
So I I empathize as a trainer, as a fitness fanatic, and all of that myself. I definitely empathize. This pandemic has been really rough,
Mhm.
and not having the gym is definitely hmm. So I mean, I
Yeah, there are no words. You're
there are
right.
no
There are
words.
no words.
But what have you done instead? Like, how have you been able to adapt for yourself? I'm not talking about the business, which we'll talk about later, but for yourself, how have you been able to adapt without a gym?
Okay, well, after I dried my tears and realized, well, this thing is real. This thing is happening. I Because I have a small space at home, I have a small
Right.
workout space. It made more sense for me to invest in some resistance bands.
Hmm.
So for 5.5 months, my own personal workouts at home were body weight or resistance bands. I did
Yeah.
get a barbell borrowed from a very good friend of mine, and I implemented that as well along the way.
I have seen some of your resistance band videos, and you know, you put them up every now and then on your
Right.
socials and stuff. Excellent work, excellent work.
Thank you.
But back to the bodybuilding aspect. So I will say nobody knows, but we all know that there's a lot of, steroid use in the sport in various categories and stuff. And it may even be a little bit more common amongst women in some categories. The thing about it is, I've known you for this long, and you've done this without use of steroids. How have you been able to do that and still not only get but maintain this physique?
Well, okay, so I'm going to answer this in two parts. I'll talk about
Yeah.
myself first. Um, First of all, I think the human body is capable of way more than we allow it to achieve. So I think for anyone with enough research, and there's a lot of trial and error I've gone through as well. As I said, I'm a very avid reader and I'm very passionate and dedicated, not just to the sport, but to the world of fitness, wellness, and
Right.
well-being on the whole. So I have done I have done so much research when it comes to bodybuilding, to women's bodybuilding and building muscle as a woman, maintaining that muscle, what it takes, how much protein should I eat, how much cardio should I do, progressively lifting heavier. You know what I mean? So it really does take it takes a lot of will, it takes a
Hmm.
lot of commitment, but it also takes a lot of education. It's not
Right.
just, well, we're going to go in the gym and lift heavy. No, no, no. It's a matter of knowing which exercises complement the others, which body parts
Right.
work best together, which are synergistic, which aren't. And it's also about targeting your nutrition to fit your goal. My goal is to build and maintain as much muscle as I can. And that is
Right.
my goal every single time I eat. Okay, most of the times that I eat, I wouldn't say every single time. I am not a perfect eater. And it's also my goal whenever I get to the gym. Having said that, personally, within the professional ranks of bodybuilding now, I do not think a novice or someone that now starts in the gym needs any kind of anabolic enhancement at all.
Hmm.
Because again, you can lift for 10 years and not even tap into your full potential. But the thing is, most people just don't want to dedicate the amount of effort and time and
Right.
sacrifice that it would take to do that. Um, However, when you reach the professional ranks, especially if you wish to compete or you wish to advance or you wish to even go beyond your natural capabilities, with education, again, I think there is a place for anabolics. But
Okay.
again, I am looking at on a professional large scale. This is my career and I want to take it to the other level. But I don't think that the average person, the average fit person, or the person that trying to live their healthiest life needs anabolics. I really,
Hmm.
really don't. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for that, because I have my own personal dislike of anabolic steroids. I am not. I wouldn't say I'm 100% against it, but pretty close, because I've seen cases where it's basically gone all wrong. That's something else we can discuss another day. But I prefer the idea or the concept of achieving your goals through pure effort, and through pure understanding, knowledge, research, Um, and I haven't enough. Like, I could talk about this bodybuilding thing whole night. Let's
So can I.
Before we continue, I would like to have a small video interlude. It's a bit of a surprise video for you.
To
So
me?
just pay attention.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Oh
a little
God.
bit of something.
Oh God. Let's see it.
Hi, Fiona Branker. I am a Sport Development Officer with the Ministry of Sport. I'm also a personal trainer and spin instructor, mother of one. My son's name is Malachi Branker. Okay, so I do weight training 6 days per week. I also do cardio, maybe 3 to 4 days a week. I'm not really a big cardio fan. I try to get outdoors 2 days a week, sometimes three, depending on my schedule. So I'm almost always training. I what they consider clean 96% of the time, which means whole foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins like tuna, chicken, fish, those kind of thing, eggs and that kind of thing. On special occasions, I go all out, and I do enjoy an occasional roti and burger ever so often. Especially roti. I love roti. Recipe for happiness, having a good supporting cast, as in family members, friends, loving what you do, being passionate about what you do, and pursuing that passion every single day. So I would say family support, discipline, sacrifice, passion. You just need to get up and do it. There's never going to be the perfect time, especially when you're a career woman or a student or whatever other portfolio you may have. There's never the right time, so you just have to do it. It's really important. Women always sacrifice themselves for the better of everyone else. But I mean, if you're not good to yourself, you're not good to anyone else. So we really need to just carve that time out. Don't feel guilty. Just do it, because once you're happy, everybody's happy. Happy wife, happy life. My fitness hero is, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is now, while he is not the father of bodybuilding, the sport that I am so passionate about, he has done so much for this sport. It has been amazing. I really admire his drive. He wanted to get into Hollywood, he did it. He wanted to get into politics, he did it. And of course, what he did for our sport. And my shiro is Monica Brand. She's also a fitness competitor, and she's just amazing. She's a wife, she's a mother, she inspires and empowers women. She's just fantastic. So those are my two. Dwayne Johnson, all caps, all the time. Chocolate. Just chocolate and chocolate. Nutshell. Just chocolate across the board.
Everybody loves chocolate.
Chocolate is awesome.
I do understand people who do get two things, but chocolate,
right,
and bacon.
Chocolate and bacon. And if I suspect if you put chocolate with bacon, that's your own little piece of heaven right there.
Chocolate and bacon. You know what? I'm not all the way there with the chocolate, but you see that bacon? I'm there with you.
Think about it.
So for those of you who don't
nice
know,
things.
Pardon me?
People are saying such nice things on the screen.
People are being honest. That's what.
And I appreciate it.
Yes. Like I said, you actually do inspire me also. So I'm not even surprised to see other people coming up and saying the same thing.
It's interesting. I remember years ago, if I could just take 1 minute to give this story.
Take a minute. Give us a story.
I was doing this marketing course, and the guy said, what would be your one goal? He said, you have such a great name, Fiona. It's great for a single, just like a single name. What would be your goal if you had to come up with one? And I told him I would like to be a household name. That's what I said. That was like maybe 12, 13 years ago. So every so often I ask myself that question, like, what would be your goal? And that has changed over the years. And now I just want to make an impact, a positive impact in the lives of the people that I touch. And so when I see messages like that and I hear you say things like that, I feel like, okay, I have achieved my goal to some extent.
And I think that's what it's about. Anybody who becomes a trainer with I guess you could say a pure or genuine heart wants to do that, So the fact that you're actually touching people positively, I say congratulations and keep up the good work.
I will try my best.
Keep it up. So back to bodybuilding. So we've spoken about these steroids and that kind of stuff. What are some of the common misconceptions? Because I mean, I have a few that
Mhm.
people talk about, and you and I spoke about personally. But before I say anything, I want to hear what some of the common misconceptions that you find yourself having to correct about bodybuilding in general and your category also.
Yeah. When it comes to hmm, when it comes to I think the biggest misconception when it comes to a female bodybuilder is that people think they are huge because of how we look on stage, how we look when we flex, how we look in a magazine or on print or whatever. Because most 9 out of 10 times when someone sees me on the stage or they see me on social media and then they see me in person, they're like, "Oh my God, you are so small." Now, most times maybe they mean I'm short because I'm 5'1", so I am short. I'm a tiny package. I'm a compact package, right? So I think most people assume that because you're a muscular woman, you're a huge woman, which is
Hmm.
not true because muscle, as you know, Mark, is lean tissue, right? So if you're a lean person, you may be muscular, but not necessarily a big person. And I think that I know that's a strange misconception to bring up as the first thing, but I think that is number one, in my opinion,
Right.
when it comes to how people view, because most times people think how we look on stage is how we look throughout the year, and nothing could be further from the truth. It takes us maybe 16 to 20 weeks, 4 to 5 months to get ready for a competition, and then
Hmm.
that's it. When we're done with our competition, we get back to our normal lives, whether it's with our family, whether it's with friends, whether it's jobs, whether it's school. So we get back to we are normal people that just happen to look a certain way when we hit this stage.
So here's one that I can't remember if we spoke about this. Well, actually, before I go into that, I want to segue into it from what
Hmm.
you said. For
Hmm.
those of us in the training world, that's called periodization. And for the viewers, that means you literally take periods and you train within certain periods. And within those periods, you train differently. There's a competition phase and all sorts of stuff, right? So leading up to a competition, Fiona's training is going to look a little bit different from immediately after. Some bodybuilders, or any sports people, after a competition, they take a couple of weeks and just do nothing, or just play another sport or something to get their minds off of it, and so it goes, right? So, um, the thing about the reason I'm bringing that up is that periodizing your workout is actually a pretty normal thing among sports people across various sports, and it's not
Yeah.
just bodybuilding. But the one of the misconceptions that I've heard and I kind of held at some point was that bodybuilders are by and large doing a lot of unhealthy things to look the way that they look. um, you and I had a conversation about that in terms of cheating exercises, in terms of how you eat and all that kind of stuff. And I think that the conclusion I came up with is that the people who are doing the unhealthy things to get there are pretty much not physically but mentally lazy in terms of doing the work to get the understanding necessary, to get the information that's necessary to get there in a healthy way, to gradually change your diet, gradually build up your workout routine, to properly periodize, etc., etc. You know?
Yes, that is true. And I think regardless of if you're a bodybuilder, regardless of whether you're a sportsman or woman or the average person, someone that's just going to the gym, I think it's anyone that's willing to take shortcuts
Hmm.
and just get there as quickly as possible is not as invested in the full aspect and experience of training and getting better and getting healthier and getting and everything that it means to get healthier. For instance, with my clients, because I did say, as I said, I am a personal trainer, and you also have it there. I always emphasize with them the journey of achieving your goal. There's nothing wrong with having an end goal. There's nothing wrong with having something to focus on, but being willing to take shortcuts and starvation and excessive amounts of cardio and supplements that you don't need. And those are things that's not if you want to create a lifestyle. And
Right.
I am, regardless of if it's personally for me or with my clients, it's about creating a lifestyle of health and well-being and longevity. And you cannot get that if you only want to take shortcuts. Impossible.
Love it. Love it. So we have to take another break. But one more question before we do that. How popular is the sport locally amongst women?
I personally wish it was way more popular. It
Right.
was gaining some momentum a few years ago. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of women that are afraid to lift heavy weights. There's still a lot of women that are afraid to build any considerable muscle. I think certain categories are doing better than others. Bikini and wellness, for instance. But for now, I think this sport has dwindled in a way that saddens and breaks my heart.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can understand that. I mean, it's sad, but we as people often look outside for validation. So when guys say they don't like muscular women, women take it on. When women say they don't like fat guys, guys take it. And, it continues. It's a cycle, you know?
And
I hear one of the babies there.
yeah, my baby, I don't know. All of a sudden, he's a guard dog.
All right, we've got to take a little break right now. Take a little video interlude about an upcoming project that Fiona actually is not directly a part of, but she did contribute to. Let's take it away.
Have I ever been a victim of body shaming? I would say recently, as I've gotten into fitness, especially in the Caribbean.
Have I been a victim of body shaming? Yes, I have.
Have I ever been a victim of body shaming? Definitely yes.
I have been a victim of body shaming.
I have been a victim of body shaming, especially when I was pregnant.
Do pregnant women face body shaming or other types of ignorance?
Yes, I have been a victim of body shaming.
I have been a victim of body shaming.
Yeah, I've been a victim of body shaming quite often.
Interesting thing about body shaming is it doesn't take any one form.
I have been a victim of body shaming throughout my life, really.
Have I ever been a victim of body shaming? Yes.
All right, so for those of you who don't know, Hybrid Caribbean Magazine, has decided to take on body shaming, and we are literally putting out our own body issue where various athletes have posed, competitive and non-competitive athletes have posed for pictures. The issue is coming out soon, and although Fiona did not pose for pictures, what she did, she actually did write an article about body shaming and her experience as a muscular woman. This is something we barely mentioned early on. So Fiona, thanks again for the contribution. I'm letting people know that they have a whole article to look out to.
A whole article.
A whole It's actually, the article you wrote is actually very important for people to read, for people to understand, because people tend to have this idea that body shaming is only fat shaming. Body shaming can be fat shaming, skinny shaming, fit shaming.
Yep.
Any time that somebody believes that they have the authority to speak on how you look, it is body shaming.
Yep.
And it's something that we are taking an active stance against. We at Hybrid Caribbean have decided to take an active stance against from various angles, So thanks again for the contribution.
Always.
And to all of our viewers, make sure you purchase a copy and make sure you go straight to Fiona's article, right? Great interview, especially the topic about women and weight training and going heavy. Thank you, Andromeda. So now let's switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
We've spoken about bodybuilding for like a half hour. Let's talk a little bit about the other thing.
Right.
You're also a personal trainer. You're the owner of Designer Bodies. What actually
Yes.
made you decide to take this fitness knowledge and share it?
The misconceptions about women's training. There
Mm-hmm.
is so much misinformation when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to women's fitness that it was startling to me. And I've specialized in women, and that's literally what I do. I
Mm-hmm.
specialize in women's fitness. I've done this for the past 15 years. And
Right.
people would ask, why bother to specialize? And it's the same reason that women have gynecologists. I believe that women need fitness specialists for different reasons.
Yeah.
While you know what women need to know that being a strong woman is okay, and there is nothing wrong with being a confident, physically strong, confident woman. There's nothing wrong with that. So I choose
Mm-hmm.
to empower women that way in every aspect. When I decided to become a personal trainer, I was aghast with the amount of nonsense that was coming out of the mouth of people in Trinidad and Tobago that's supposed to be qualified in the area. How can you train women and be talking nonsense about toning and nonsense about high reps and light weight and nonsense about eating 1,200 calories and nonsense about you have to do cardio first and then build muscle because you have to lose the fat first and nonsense. I was shocked. So I decided to educate myself. I did invest in myself. I invested my time. I went to the US. I learned as much as I could. And then I came back here to share this knowledge as much as I can with my clients, and generally anyone could get information from me when it comes to
Yeah.
women's fitness. Yeah.
I actually think that you are doing a great service to women because I have found that now this is something that goes for gender, for sexuality, gender identity, for race, for age. Representation matters.
It
So
does.
for a lot of women, I might give the exact same message as you. Another male trainer can give the exact same message as you, but I think that having you out there, not just passing on the message, but living the message, it's a great service to the women out there so that women can actually see, hey, look, there is this woman who is strong, she's fit, she's healthy, and she's happy, she's attractive, she's mentally strong, she's all of these things, you know? So it's actually a
And
great service, I would say, as I said, to other women that you're doing this.
and that is my goal with every woman that I train. That I count myself very fortunate
Mm-hmm.
to train women. Right? We still live in a very patriarchal society. I'm sure you would agree.
Very
So
much
I'm
so.
we know this.
Yeah.
So for every woman that comes to me, and let me tell you, Mark, I have had women that came to me that refuse to look up when they're walking. They're so used to looking at their shoes. They're so used to looking beautiful women, tall women that are afraid to lift their shoulders and walk with their head up because they will be too tall. I've had women tell me these things, and I am not a psychologist, but I have been through enough with people's opinions that I feel that I can help empower women. Listen, you are gorgeous. It really doesn't matter what anyone says, because
Mm-hmm.
beauty is not, as my husband told me today, beauty is not a size, a shape, a color. Beauty is who every individual person and every individual woman is, and every woman deserves to be told that she's beautiful. So if nobody else is going to do it, I will do it. I will do it, and I will give you enough strength to see it in yourself. and
Yeah.
and that is my goal. That is my goal. And I want to do that through fitness, and I want to do that through living a certain way. Because when I'm in the gym, I always tell my clients, when because a lot of women are intimidated to start
Mm-hmm.
training at a gym. It's still very male dominated. Ladies gravitate towards the classes, but never towards the weight floor. And
Right.
when they come to me, I always tell them, I say, listen, I will bite for you. You don't have to fight. That's why I'm here, because I've gone through it. I've dealt with it. It's water off my back now. You know what I mean? So I am here for you until you have the strength to do it yourself.
Excellent. So, Sharice Videshi is saying that we need
Yes.
more women like you in Trinidad
Yes.
and Tobago, and I cannot
Yes.
agree more.
Yes.
I cannot agree more. So, you've been doing this for how long now?
Personal
Training.
training
Yeah,
specialist. I'm a woman, 15 years now. This year made
15
it
years.
15 years.
So it took you 2 years of actually lifting before you decided, here's what I'm going to share this and empower other women.
Yes. I felt like I needed to be sure that I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's not just,
of
yeah,
course.
I don't want to just be another trainer. You know, we say in Trinidad, everybody's a trainer. I don't want to be one of those.
There's too many trainers out there injuring people.
Yeah, correct. Let's put that
I
in
think
air
that
quotes.
you see that 2 years, I think that is important. It's important that you took that 2 years, learn about it yourself, experience it yourself, and then so DK Roller, I hope I got his name correct. He's asking why weights instead of calisthenics. Now I could answer, but I prefer if you do.
Oh, I was not going to say by all means. By all means, answer. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with doing some calisthenics. There's nothing wrong with mixing up your training. There's nothing wrong with that. But two reasons. One, there's nothing like squatting, deadlifting, or pressing some heavy, I don't know if I could say the A word, weights. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
To be honest, neither do I.
Right.
Yeah,
so there's nothing.
I'll have to ask my boss.
Yeah, ask your boss. Right? Because like I said, I have had women come to me. If let's say we're doing chest press, and they're pressing 5 pounds and struggling, trembling, shaking, can't even get 8 reps. And then within maybe like 6 to 8 months, they're pressing 20s. Let me tell you something. There is nothing more empowering to a woman than going from a 5 pound to a 20 pound and not even struggling, ready to move up to 25s.
Lovely.
You know, so that is something that you can't get from calisthenics. That's not that anything is wrong with doing calisthenics along with weights. And of course, there's also the health benefits of resistance training. Let's not forget, especially for women, there are many health benefits for women when it comes to weight training, boosting your metabolism, increasing your bone density. You know, there's so getting better sleep, dealing with stress. There's so many benefits that comes from lifting weights, particularly for all human beings, but particularly for women.
Yep. So to add to what you just said, to the viewers, there is that now I know that I miss the gym. I missed the gym while I was gone. The first day that they said gyms are open for vaccinated people, I found myself under a squat bar. Well, by a power rack squatting, right? And deadlifting. There is a sense of focus that's required when you're lifting, especially when you're lifting heavy, that is not necessarily required when doing calisthenics. And that in and of itself it acts like a bit of therapy, because there is nothing in that moment besides you and the weight. And I think that for everyone, it is important to understand these benefits. And for the bone density thing, people don't understand something. Because of hormonal differences, women are more prone to things like osteoporosis. So osteoporosis is a loss of bone density. Weightlifting, heavy weightlifting, is an increase in bone density, as you just said. So it actually helps to combat the effects of osteoporosis. Well, DK, the reason DK asks is because of the issues people have with mobility, posture, and balance. And I'll take this one. Weightlifting actually benefits all three of those. Think of it like this, DK. For mobility, you actually have some weightlifting is actually like what you call passive stretching, because you now have a weight pressing against you. Posture, developing your musculature properly will actually benefit your posture. And balance, what is harder to balance. Then you have your body, you're moving your body, and while you have your body, you have something else to balance with you. So all of those things are actually benefited through um, weight training. All right,
In
DK?
addition, sorry,
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
in addition to which, part of a sound weightlifting or resistance training, let's use resistance training. Part of a
Mhm.
sound resistance training or training routine is recovery.
Mhm.
I think a really good time to work on things like mobility, posture, and balance is during your recovery time. Whether it's post workout with your foam rolling, your stretching, or your calisthenics, or on your recovery days, which are your days that are off from lifting, your rest days from lifting. You also do, in addition to which, a good holistic program would also include mobility work. It should
Mhm.
also include cardiovascular work. It should also include, and then, as you rightly said, when it comes to certain exercises, for instance, a lunge is an exercise that must induce balance. It must. It also helps with things like ankle mobility and stuff. And active active recovery, as well as your warm up so a good holistic program that includes resistance training would be more beneficial than just doing calisthenics. That's how I
Mhm.
put together my clients programs. For instance, recently, Mark, I put together this whole amazing 10-minute warm up for it's literally 10 minutes of
Yeah.
dynamics, and they're like, oh god, when this is the whole workout here, but it's it's not, but it's preparing you for your workout. You
Yeah.
understand? So I don't just stick my clients on the treadmill and be like, all right, warm up for 10 minutes and come, let's start. No, no, no. I took my time. Again, I did my research and I put together what I consider for what they are doing the perfect warm up. Yeah.
So Andromeda has a question, but
Mhm.
first I want to show a quick video of you doing what I guess one of my favorite exercises. A video, very quick clip of you doing squats, how it's supposed to be done. All right.
Yeah. Before we go any further, let me give credit to my cameraman, Mr. Anatole Branker, also my husband, because he's always saying I don't give him no credit when it comes to his work.
Good job, Anatola.
Shout out
Good job. Good
Anatole.
job.
He does all my videos. Right.
So, we're going into Andromeda's question. Yes, there's
I
such a big
love this
stigma with
question.
women and strength training. I'd like to hear your opinion first before I give mine.
Right. A lot of this is, you mentioned it before, opinions, being afraid of people's opinions. And you are right. We all have muscles. I remember telling a woman, you don't start to train and then get biceps. We all have biceps and triceps and quadriceps and lats. We all have these muscles. The thing is, as I said, number one, we are still very old school when it comes to standards of beauty. What are these standards of beauty? But we're still very old school. And as I mentioned before, we're still very patriarchal, so that we see women's roles and the way women's bodies should look, which is soft and demure and whatever other kind of quiet, soft words you can use to how describe women are supposed to be versus how a man is supposed to be, which apparently would be okay to have muscles. I don't know, but I think it's still a very old school perception and a very old school, very patriarchal perception when it comes to what women should look like.
It's darn right. Um, I would have actually literally said it in one word: patriarchy.
Oh, you see,
Yeah, ideas of women's beauty are created by, quite often created by men. Um, I would even go one step further and to say, actually, let's not go there. Let's just
Yes,
say
let's not.
Western patriarchy, which has infiltrated the world for various reasons, but um, there in before this, there were quite a few matriarchal societies, matriarchal households within equal societies, and a lot of them have been wiped out, or they still exist, but nobody pays any attention to them, etc., etc. But a lot of it is due to, you know, patriarchal ideas of what a woman should be, what a woman should do, how a woman should look, and
Yeah, all
all of
these
these
shoulds for
things.
women, all these shoulds and
Yeah,
these shoulds.
the only thing a woman should do is be happy.
Yeah, do what the heck,
Well,
heck, she wants to do. You know how I
censoring
speak.
ourselves a lot.
Yeah, you
Censoring
know how I
ourselves a lot.
speak. Next time we get blacklisted, Fiona
You
never
know,
gets invited again. Like, oh my
actually,
god.
I would love to have you every season.
Careful what you wish for, Mark.
Lord.
Careful.
So we have one last question. We spoke about it from a personal aspect, but I wanted to bring this up as a last question because as a fellow trainer, I know that it affected me. But as a trainer, how did the pandemic affect you and what did you do to overcome it?
Well, if you remember clearly, this pandemic has affected us several times over the last. We're suffering about a year, almost 2 years, and you're welcome, Andromeda. We're suffering almost 2 years now under this pandemic. So this year was actually our third lockdown. March of last year, I went into a tailspin. Then we had March of last year, we had October of last year, and then we had April of this year. And this year was the longest, 5.5 months. Last year when it happened, I went online, like so many people, because you don't want to lose your clients. You also don't want your clients to forget their goals. You want to help keep them focused. And I think, Mark, and I'm sure it was this way for you too, a lot of clients looked to us to figure things out, like what's going to happen now. I'm sure it was that way for you as well. So I went online. Thankfully, we had the platform of Zoom, and I went online. I am also a spin instructor, and I also started doing spin classes online in addition to my personal training. And even though gyms have reopened, I have clients who prefer to stay online. So I still have my online aspect going. I still do my spin online as well as personal training at the gym.
And that's excellent. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to ask, well, all right, 1 second, Anderson. I am going to say this for everyone here who wants to contact Fiona, find out about getting into her online classes, especially her online spin classes. Check her out on Instagram, Fit Diva Fi. That's FITDIVAFI.
Actually, I'm on all social media as Fit Diva Fi. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. I now joined TikTok. Yes, I'm a TikToker now. I'm a big deal. You can. I'm a big deal. You can find me everywhere in my mind. You can find me everywhere. But at Fit Diva Fi, just look for me. Fit Diva Fi, Fiona Branker. Anyone, whichever one you remember.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, Anderson asked one question. We have very little time. Difference between high reps and heavier weights.
Okay, when I use that term now, as Mark mentioned, we do periodize. So I do think there are times during your training life where you will go for higher reps or volume, or it depends on what your training goal is at the time. What I was referring to is a lot of women think that the way to get toned is to lift light weights for high reps. So sometimes I'll pass and I hear a trainer give someone 100 reps. And I'm like, to what end? What is the point? Because they want to get toned. But that is such a myth because tone is not a thing. You can't tone a muscle. You can build muscle. You can lose muscle. But doing Very high reps with very light weight, while it may build some endurance, some muscular endurance, will not do much to change the shape of your body. It will not do much to help you achieve that lean look, that defined look that most women would like to achieve during their gym or their fitness journey. That's what I was
Correct.
referring to.
Right. So, for those who don't know, toning is just a catchphrase.
Yeah, it's
So,
not
as
a. It's
Fiona
just a
said, it's not
marketing
an
phrase. It's
actual
not a
thing,
thing.
right?
It's not a thing.
The goal of any workout is to is to get to a point of muscular fatigue that will make your muscles say, "Hey, listen, I need to adapt," and that's how you build muscle. That's how you build endurance, etc., etc. So we have one last fun segment, but before that, there's this one video you sent me that I absolutely love, and I'm gonna put it up right now. And if anybody wants to know why I love that video so much, I have one thing to say. Pew pew!
Pew pew!
That's what we're talking about. So now we're going to go into our last segment, a little question and answer segment we call the last rep. You ready for it?
Let's do it.
All right. Quick. What's your favorite junk food?
Roti.
Squats or deadlifts?
Deadlifts.
Legs or chest?
Legs.
If you're feeling down, that is the right answer, by the way.
Personally, I hate to work either chest or legs. I am a more back and shoulders type of gal, but I'll go with legs.
That's okay. That's okay. We all must have one flaw somewhere, right?
Oh, damn it.
If you're feeling down, what's your go-to exercise?
Deadlifts.
If there was one person you can work out with, or one trainer you can get a session with anywhere in the world or whatever, who would it be?
My absolute favorite female bodybuilder, whose name is Linda Murray. She's old school. A lot of people wouldn't know who she is. Linda Murray. She's still very, very active, actually. I love her. I would love to meet her and train with her. One session, and then I'll die happy.
Awesome. Now, I know the answer to this, but I'll still ask. What's your favorite workout music? What musical genre?
It have anything else? So come
have anything else? Come on.
Come on, man. Come on. Soca to the world.
Definitely. Cardio or weights?
Really, ma? You asking me that?
Well, oh God, wait.
Sorry, wait. Cardi who? Cardi no.
So, including martial arts, including dance, even including the sport you compete with, what is your favorite sports?
Bodybuilding is my favorite sport. Right. But I do enjoy a little football game here and there. So.
She's a footballer too. Look at I'm learning new things.
Yeah, you see. There you go.
So again, we've discussed this, so the answer is obvious. But protein supplements or diets?
Diet first. Not that obvious, because I do encourage the use of protein supplements. Yeah.
I myself, in certain circumstances, I would.
Yeah.
And
simply wait, sorry. I know this is supposed to be a quick session.
No, go ahead.
Simply because most women do not get. Most people, but of course my focus is women, most women do not get sufficient protein in their diet to help them reach their goals.
That's completely understandable. And last question, an extremely important question.
Okay, focused.
TV or cinema?
TV.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Selectively social. TV.
That is true.
That you know. That you know.
That I know. So, Fiona, I would like to thank you so much for coming out. Well, I would say coming on. To the coming onto the program, coming and sharing with us, sharing your experience, sharing your knowledge, and sharing a few laughs.
The
It has
pleasure was
been,
all mine. I can't believe the time passed already. I feel like we were on for like 20 minutes. What
I know,
nonsense is this?
right? I know, right? Don't worry, we can have another 20 minutes in the next season.
Yeah, okay. I'll hold you to that.
No problem at all, Fiona. Thanks again. Thanks to
Thank you for
our
having me.
no problem. Thanks to our technical team in the background, Hybrid Caribbean, Shane Anderson. Um, and it was a great session. Tune in next week as we interview elite national boxer Tiana Guy. She'll be here with us. She'll be online with us. She'll be fresh back from an international training trip, and we have a lot of questions for her. All right. See you next week. Thanks for all of you who joined.